The Strait of Hormuz officially back open. That announcement coming from President Trump on Truth Social. Iran also announcing something similar this morning. The president saying that the strait completely open and ready for business and full passage. But he notes that the naval blockade will remain in full force and effect as it pertains to Iran only until such time as our transaction with Iran is 100% complete. So he wants a deal first before they remove the blockade. But this morning, the strait open, oil flowing again. Let's talk more about this with Patrick DeHaan, the head of petroleum analysis with GasBuddy. Patrick, we've been talking with you weekly since the war started some 7 weeks ago, so we thank you for joining us on a busy morning here. What's your initial reaction to this breaking news about the strait reopening?
I think the first thing I did was look at marine tracking websites to see how quickly ships are going to start moving, at least for now, and not seeing a whole lot of activity yet. Hopefully that will ramp up. There's a couple of ships that are getting closer to the strait. So kind of watching this with some optimism. Finally, both parties saying the same thing. That's what's really good about this. Oil prices are plummeting over 10%. So I'm hoping this will hold. But, given the fact that this has been ongoing 7 weeks, really hoping that this is going to potentially lead to some long-term resolution that will allow the flow of oil again. That is going to mean that 10% drop in oil, that is going to mean that gas prices across Metro Atlanta could continue to fall here. We've seen gas prices already down about 7 cents a gallon in Atlanta over the last week. Prices now 13 cents lower than a month ago. Part of the reason for that drop in Atlanta compared to a month ago, keep in mind, is Georgia's gas tax holiday, which is ongoing. 33-cent discount, essentially, because there's no state tax. For now, we could see prices now slipping into the maybe low $3 a gallon range in Georgia and Atlanta, so long as this sticks. That's the other thing I want to keep in mind, that we've been seeing the pendulum swing wildly during this situation. Certainly want to be optimistic that this is going to stick, but there's always that potential risk. So again, gas price is going to continue falling so long as the Strait of Hormuz is open and boats start moving. Diesel price is probably going to see even a larger decline here in the weeks ahead. And that's going to alleviate a lot of pressure on the U.S. economy. It certainly can't come quick enough, but for now, if you need to fill your tanks up, don't be in any rush, because that 364 average for Atlanta could come down to the 330s or 320s in the weeks ahead, so long as there is not a reversal in what we're seeing.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, Patrick, and correct me if I'm wrong, fuel prices we could see dropping as soon as this weekend because the straits reopen, but diesel, it might take a little longer before we see a significant drop?
Well, again, it'll probably take a little bit longer to fully deliver the relief. That is, the prices will start going down this weekend, both for gasoline and diesel, but it's going to take a couple of weeks to amount to much, right? I think the rate of decline is going to be a couple of cents every couple of days, maybe every day or two for the next 3 to 4 weeks, or potentially beyond that. How long it lasts really depends on the pace of decline. Of course, President Trump had also signaled yesterday that he's going to be watching the pace of decline in prices. Retailers often pass these paces along as they start filling up with the cheaper fuel, but the rate of decline should be noticeable. Metro Atlanta at 364 today, in theory, could be at 350 in a week or 7 days from now, and it could be at 330 in 2 to 3 weeks. So it's going to take a few weeks for all of that relief to add up to something.
Patrick, you kind of alluded to just how fragile this announcement might be. And if we can pull up the President's Truth Social posting one more time, I want to point out this line. He says this process should go very quickly and that most of the points are already negotiated, saying that he's keeping the naval blockade in effect right now until a deal is fully 100% reached with Iran. I mean, with that in mind, how should we be approaching as consumers this idea that the straits reopen? Should we approach it as simply an hour-by-hour thing, or do you think this is a done deal and will remain in effect?
Well, I think the president's approaching it in a smart way. That is, Iran is going to have more pressure on itself to come to a longer-term deal if the blockade on Iran's ports remains in effect. For the average consumer, though, there's still an element of risk here. I mean, Iran has still a lot of pressure on it to come to a deal with the United States because ports remain blocked. But there's always the potential that when pushed into a corner, that Iran may do something uncertain. It's certainly not in their advantage now, and I think the president's found the key ingredients to really pressure them in a significant way to turn the tables. It's taken 7 weeks for us to get here, but all in all, there's still an element of risk here. If Iran decides to do something that aggravates the position or that really stifles the potential for a deal, we could see oil prices going right back up. I mean, the coast has been anything but clear over the last 7 weeks. So we're keeping that in mind, but I'm trying to be optimistic that hopefully things are on the up and up.
You know, as we look live at this marine traffic website showing all those ships just sitting in limbo as they have been for weeks, Patrick, what kind of long-term damage, if any, has that done to the global oil supply?
Oh, huge. It's going to take a long time for things to fully recover. I would estimate that every day of the blockade, I think looking at my calendar right now, we're at 47 days. In theory, I would estimate for a full recovery of global inventories may take as long as 47 weeks. So, we're seeing an immediate decline in the price of oil, right? And that's expected because the risk is suddenly decreased significantly. But we may not go back to fully normal prices for quite a several months, and things may not fully be recovered until early next year when global inventories are kind of back at their normal level. I mean, 47 days, we're on the cusp of 50 days of this, and adding up simple arithmetic, that's almost 1 billion barrels of oil that have not made it to their destination. That is, that oil inventories globally are about 1 billion barrels lower than they would be if the Strait had been open this entire time. That takes a long time to recover from, and it may even take beyond a year to fully recover and get global inventories back to their pre-war levels. So while there's going to be a good measure of relief up front for motorists, diesel and jet fuel prices are going to start coming down. This is still a very long road to kind of fully normalizing inventories globally.
All right, Patrick, looking at your X account here, great follow, by the way. You say you're doing a live YouTube Q&A here pretty soon. What kind of questions do you expect to get from folks, and anything I'm not asking you right now that you think is important to share?
You want all the secrets. Well, I'll give you a couple of them. It certainly could change the prospect for what Americans are paying this summer. And I believe Georgia's gas tax holiday was 60 days. You might know better than I. That gas tax holiday then would expire, I believe, at some point in May or June. So that's something to be aware of this summer as well. And it may be offset by some of the relief, but certainly some good news. And this may allow Americans to start replanning for summer road trips in light of what is likely to be a lower price environment. Diesel prices, which are still at about $5.50 a gallon, they could drop significantly here back to the mid fours, which would, again, ease a lot of pressure. And airlines, you talk about Delta being based in Atlanta. This has been a huge impact to airlines. You can't underscore it. We're already talking about some airlines, some smaller airlines like Spirit, which are having a huge amount of challenges given the surge in jet fuel prices. So this is going to boil off a lot of the pressure that's built up on the U.S. economy, and hopefully we'll start to see fuel prices decreasing dramatically. And hopefully all of this will stick and we'll start to see ships sailing through the Strait again this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, talks have been picking up this week about potential airline consolidation because of all this. So maybe that'll change things. I don't know. Patrick, you were correct. 60 days for our gas tax holiday. It is up 1 month from now. Great having you on the show this morning, folks. You can follow him on his YouTube channel for that Q&A session here starting soon. And we're going to take a quick break. You're watching 11 Alive Plus on this Friday morning.